The Spencer Pratt campaign for mayor of Los Angeles is a national issue. We're going to go into that today. This is The Ordinary American. I'm your host, Paul Sarkis. We have a great show for you today. This show is anti-leftist. The Pratt campaign, that is a proxy fight of left versus right. We're going to go into all the reasons why and how, and we believe he can win, and we believe he must win. Okay, this is The Ordinary American. We are anti-leftist, which means we are anti-Democrat. If you've been voting for Democrat, you have been voting to break yourself into jail. And what Spencer Pratt is doing right now is trying to break LA out of jail. We got a ton to get to and to go over. And we got a few other stories as it relates to Iran and Trump as usual. All right, we're going to get right into it. I want to play, just to start off with, I want to play, a lot of you may not know much about his campaign. I'm going to play his, his latest ad. All right, let's see if this is going to work.
This is where Mayor Vass lives. You notice something? Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelenos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
Okay. That's the backdrop. Just to give you a little bit more info, if you're not familiar with what's going on out there, you will be. This is a national issue. Why? As I said, it is a fight between the left and the right. You just heard him say that. It's also, you heard him say, it's a proxy fight for corruption. Why? Because the left is all corruption. All corruption. There is no anything else other than corruption in the left. They lie, they cheat, they steal, and they do it and they corrupt our elections. I played many times, and we did a whole episode on it. You can go see. It's titled something about James Carville. He is teaching the Democrat candidates, and he's telling them, lie to get in. Tell the voters anything. Doesn't matter. Lie to them. Just get power. Why? Because from the left's point of view, from the Democrat point of view, power is the only moral imperative. Spencer Pratt's race is the antidote to all that. He's a guy, oversimplified, who was on a reality show years ago. He lost his home, as you could see, in the fires a year and a half ago or so in the Pacific Palisades. 7,000 homes, I think, were destroyed. He immediately started to make videos and post them. That's when I became aware of him. And I would watch these videos, and he would go through, and he was the first one that I saw that was able to expose the fact that the reservoir was not filled, that was sort of right behind his house, right behind his neighborhood, so that they didn't have any water to put out the fires. He's the first one that I saw that was starting to expose some of the corruption. Like, if you remember that concert that they put on to help the fire victims, none of the money went to the fire victims. They all got funneled, all that money, it was about $100 million, that ordinary Americans, gave to try to help because we care about other Americans. What happened? Big surprise. They went to nonprofits and they never made it to the victims. It's always corruption. He got pissed enough that he decided to run for mayor, and I'm glad he did. Now, the big knock on him, we're going to get to the process, we're going to get to who he's running against, but the big knock on him is he doesn't know how to be in government. He's never run government. What would he know about any of this? To all you Los Angelenos, that's the point. You're living in a city that's had everybody who understands government and who knows how to manage government. That's what's gotten you where you are today. This guy is coming in and saying, we're going to get rid of the corruption, we're going to rebuild, and we're going to bring back Los Angeles. Can he do it? I don't know. I think so. By the way, I don't know Spencer Pratt. And who am I? I'm a guy with a great flag. I love God, my family, and my country. He doesn't know me. I hope somebody sends him this. He should see it. But I don't know him. Do I think he can do it? I do. Why? Because I think when you get somebody like Spencer Pratt in, what he's going to do is he's going to call the Justice Department and he's going to call the Doge guys and he's going to say, come on in. We got to get rid of the corruption. And it's all corruption. And by the way, it cannot possibly be any worse than it is now. Why do I say that? Because this is leftism. They lie, cheat, and steal. They've destroyed the city. I left Los Angeles because it was dying in 2020, 2021. I had to move my family because there was no place to raise a family. And during COVID, it was obviously they were going to keep everybody locked in forever. How could I tell that? Because they dragged the guy out of the ocean and said, you can't be outside in the ocean. Spencer Pratt, good for him. I'm trying to draw attention to this because this is the proxy fight. All right, the process. Los Angeles, just like the rest of California, idiots that they are, they don't have primaries. Well, they have a primary. It's just not Republican, Democrat primary. They have what's called a jungle primary. You get yourself, on the ballot and you're in the primary. And what happens is if one of the candidates gets more than 50% of the votes, they win. If one of the candidates doesn't, then the top two finishers run off in the general election in November. That primary is June 2nd, I believe the date is. Okay? I actually think Spencer Pratt can get more than 50% in the June primary if the elections are legitimate. And we're going to come back to that. All right. Who's he running against? Many of you know this. Karen Halfwit Bass, trained in Cuba to be a Marxist, socialist. Look what she's doing. It was her watch that these fires happened. She isn't changing her policies at all. She's not. Trump went there, if you remember, and said, let's get these houses going. What did I hear on the Adam Carolla show the other day? There's like 20 houses that are being rebuilt out of 7,000. Come on. She's not changing her ways. Okay? Now, people know her because she's running. There's another person that's running. I'm going to talk about the strategy of this in a second. Her name, I think, is Nithya Raman. She's a leftist, member of the Democrat Socialist Party, leftist, another halfwit, who was, she was born in India, moved to the United States, I think when she was 6. I think I have that right. And then she went to Harvard, no surprise, okay? And then she went to MIT, and at MIT, I think at Harvard, she studied political theory. Anything with a theory behind it? No, okay? She then went to MIT and studied urban planning. What does that sound like? Central planning. She got her brain all scrambled. This won't surprise you. She founded some nonprofits. She made her way out to Los Angeles, became a naturalized citizen, got on the city council. All right. And since she's been on the city council, she's been the head, from what I'm reading, of the homelessness committee. How's that going? She's been the head of that. So she's had all the power of the city council. There's no Republicans. There's no one in their way. We talk a lot about this with Mussolini because he's the governor. She's in the city of Los Angeles. Whatever's going on in Los Angeles around homelessness, what is her great idea? This for the last 6 years? That's really all you need to know. Why are the Democrats doing this? I suspect that the Democrats thought that if Spencer Pratt or anybody got a little oomph, because things suck in LA so badly, that they would be able to sort of flood the zone, put 2 people who would soak up all of the retard lefties in LA so that third person would be third. And then they don't care whether it's Bass or Rahman because the left doesn't care about individuals. It's all, it's uniparty stuff. So they don't care. Now, we've talked a lot about third-party runs. Third-party run, Teddy Roosevelt got us Woodrow Wilson. Third-party run, Ross Perot, great American, but it got us Bill Clinton. In this particular case, I think the same type of dynamic can play out now in the primary. I think that there's enough awfulness in LA, and if enough attention can be drawn to this race, and I think that there already is, and there'll be more, that the same dynamic will play out where Spencer Pratt is going to rise to the top. We'll talk about polls in a second. Going to rise to the top, and the other two are going to cannibalize each other, all depending on whether it's a legitimate election. Go back to yesterday's episode, watch it. It's a good one, I think, where I shared my personal experience working the polls in LA. This was before they had mail-in ballots. Totally corrupt, completely and totally corrupt. Now it's really corrupt. I don't think the elections are legitimate in Los Angeles. So one of two things has to happen. Either the Los Angeles residents have to come out in such overwhelming numbers, I mean, beyond what we came out for Trump in the 77 million in 24, that it's going to be too big to rig. Now, I played yesterday the Latinos for Pratt video. That's critical. Every single demographic group needs to wake up and stop voting for Democrats. Now, if that Hispanic vote will go for Pratt because they're tired of their city being destroyed, okay, their schools destroyed, etc., then if the Black community can do that, if the Jewish community can do that, if all the communities can do that, then I think that he can come out ahead in the primary. Now, no one's saying that. Who am I? I'm not a pollster. Again, I'm just an ordinary American. Okay, maybe I'm wrong, but I think there's a path to that if it's a legitimate election. Second way that it can be a legitimate election. There are these great citizen journalists. Nick Shirley gets a lot of the press right now, but James O'Keefe's been doing it forever. As a side note, if you haven't seen the James O'Keefe video, which came out a few days ago, which had some knucklehead from Fox, some sales guy from Fox, bragging to some girl he was on a date with about how he expenses trips to strip clubs. It's not happening. I'm not laughing because he got fired. I don't like to see anybody get fired. But bro, what are you doing? Okay, James O'Keefe does this routinely for issues like that and way bigger issues. All of these citizen journalists, the Rubin brothers, Mudrucker, or Sarah Gonzalez is another one. There are others. I'm sure they're already doing this. They don't need my advice, but here's another way that we might be able to force legitimate elections. If all of those citizen journalists focus their attention on Los Angeles, not just on the voting process, but certainly get your people in to those different offices. Get some of that stuff on tape. James O'Keefe, you must have people over there. Okay? Then publicize everything you can about the corruption in Los Angeles. Mudrucker, the Rubin brothers, they had a great video which really exposed the Democrats paying people to sign petitions. Illegal. Okay. As much of that as possible. Why do I think that can help? Because what the Democrats rely on, and this is going to get into the polls, the Democrats rely on the general belief that most of us just want to live our life. We don't want to get too involved. We got things to do. So that if an issue comes up and we don't get too into it, then it will blow over. Spencer Pratt, by the way, was supposed to put out a couple of videos about the fire and then let it blow over and just go about his life. He didn't do that. That's why this race is happening. He wouldn't go away. Okay? The Democrats rely on everybody to sort of go away. So if those citizen journalists can do more and more and more, and I don't know how it gets done, but I can't believe that there aren't dozens and dozens and dozens of actual legal cases that the Department of Justice could be bringing. I've already seen they're out there. Dr. Oz and RFK Jr. said they got rid of 500 fake hospices, and not one of them called and said, hey, you're taking away my license. I'm a legitimate hospice. 0 out of 500. We need high profile indictments on these people. and it's already May, so it's only like a month away before the primary. But I think things are in the works. Okay, so that's the process. It's a proxy fight for corruption and for left versus right. Spencer Pratt wouldn't go away. And you can see from that video, he seems determined. The left thought at the beginning that they could dilute the pool and take the top two and get the other guy out. I think it's flipped. It would not surprise me, by the way, to see one of those two, probably Raman, drop out. If she did, that would be an admission that they know Pratt is doing unbelievably well. That's going to get us to polls. Okay. Oh, wait. Before we get to polls, where is it? Okay. I want to play this video. It's gotten a lot of attention. It's this idiot from Seattle. Okay. And she, by the way, sorry for the noise in the background. Again, my big staff didn't soundproof this place well enough. I'm just an ordinary American. I don't have a big studio. All right, I want to play this for you. This is this idiot from Seattle. Let's just play it first.
I think the claims that millionaires are going to leave our state are like super overblown, and if the ones that leave, like bye.
Okay, that's got a lot of press. You've probably seen it. The reason why I'm playing it is because I'm trying to show that these leftists are not changing their points of view. Her sitting around saying, if the millionaires leave, who cares? Kathy Hochul was on TV not too many weeks ago saying, we got to beg these people who left to come back. We need them to fund our projects. Mandami, who was out just the other day saying, it doesn't work. We don't have any money. We need more revenue. By the way, short detour, revenue. That's not a thing for government. Government takes our money. They don't make anything. They say revenue like they're Apple, or they're like my favorite bakery when they have revenue. They don't have revenue. They take our money. That's all they have. Okay, they need more of it. So when you hear somebody saying we need more revenue, we need to take more of your money. Mandami, he's not learning anything. Another detour. He put out a video to sort of attack and highlight Ken Griffin. Ken Griffin is an extremely successful hedge fund manager, billionaire from Citadel, financial institution, hedge fund. And Mandami used him as an example to say, we're going to tax these second or third homes where these people don't live in them and they can afford it. And I don't think they'll leave. Same message that idiot from Seattle just gave. We don't think that they'll leave. Public service announcement or a plea to Ken Griffin. You don't know me, I don't know you. Please remove every dime of your company or your money from New York. If you leave anything in New York, Mandami is going to make you the whipping boy by saying, see, I told you they wouldn't really leave. You could leave 10 nickels and he's still going to attack it. You are being shown and told they are not going to change. If you agree to do whatever, pay this dumb tax, there'll be another one after that. I beg you, go down to Florida, go to Texas. Florida, go to DeSantis. I am sure he will promote the heck out of Citadel, building their building and moving everybody down to Miami or Palm Beach or wherever, West Palm, wherever you want to go. It will probably suck in the short run because you obviously like New York. You moved your stuff from Chicago to New York. But in the long run, it will be better for you and for everybody else. You can see the talking points. Mandami says, hey, it's not that much. I don't think they're really going to leave. You can now see this idiot in Seattle. Yeah, I don't think they're going to leave. Okay? You will hear that from these people in LA if Spencer Pratt leaves. Okay? So when we talk about a battle between the left and the right, what we're talking about most of the time, ultimately it comes down to, is full-on corruption. They steal our money. They have nonprofits they funnel through. what you haven't heard from Mondami, what you haven't heard from anybody in LA, what you're not going to hear from that idiot in Seattle is, hey, we think there's probably a lot of theft and fraud going on through the nonprofits. We're going to eliminate it all. We're already seeing the hospice stuff. We're already seeing the SNAP stuff. We're already seeing the daycare stuff. At the federal government, I say it all the time, DOGE found 4.7 trillion of untraceable outflows from the Treasury General account. Why was it untraceable? Because they wanted it untraceable so they could steal it. If that's going on at the federal government, we already know what's going on in LA. It's obviously going on in New York. Nobody wants to change it. Why don't they want to change it? This gets back to the election process. Because they don't believe they have to answer to the citizens, because the elections are rigged. That's my theory. Again, I'm just an ordinary American, just looking at things, saying every other politician in my lifetime, and I'm going to give two big examples here in a second, every other one reacted to the citizens' essentially demands. Bill Clinton. Some of you might not even be old enough to remember him. Bill Clinton, husband of Hillary Clinton, beat George Bush because of Ross Perot, got in 1992. Right away when he got in, Hillary, because she can't help herself, she jumped in and needed to be in the fray. She had something called Hillary Care. We're not going to get into it, but it was socialized medicine, similar to Obamacare. And she wanted to shove it down the Americans' throats. It was a disaster. Prior to the 94 midterm elections, the Democrats had controlled the House of Representatives for 40 years. Not for 4 years, for 40 years, since the 50s. Okay? Because of Hillary Care, it so destroyed Clinton's approval rating. I think he went from 70% down to below 50%, that the House was won by Newt Gingrich for the Republicans for the first time in 40 years. What did Bill Clinton do? Bill Clinton went and got Dick Morris, and they went back to the center. They worked with Newt Gingrich, the contract in America. Bill Clinton was the one who said in a famous speech, "The era of big government is over." That is an example of the most prominent Democrat of his era seeing what the people wanted and adjusting. The Democrats aren't doing that now. They are doubling and tripling down on leftism. My conclusion is they believe that the elections are corrupted enough that they don't have to answer to us. I think as it is, since 1913, when the 16th Amendment was passed, which gave the government the right to tax its citizens at the federal level, I think it went from them being public servants for their masters, who were the citizens. Now I think they're the public's master, and we're the indentured servants. Okay? By the way, if you want to read a great book, it's on my desk, so I'm going to try to show it. This right here. Wait, how do I get it in there? A great book written in 1954 about the 16th Amendment and the income tax. Okay? It changed everything. It changed the nature of the relationship. And you can see that now in places like LA and New York, and certainly down in Washington. Okay? Now, I didn't mention it at the top of the show, but this is also Forgiveness Friday. So I want to come back to Forgiveness Friday because I need to practice forgiveness. And so I'm going to try to leave a few minutes at the end. But this is a national event, this mayor's race in LA. Post about it, talk about it. He's probably raising money. Send him a few dollars if you can. If LA can sort of rip itself out of the claws of the left, Spencer Pratt has a chance to help fix LA by bringing in the Department of Justice and maybe DOGE and others to clean up the corruption and really fix things. If we get super lucky and Steve Hilton wins the governor's race, and you have LA and you have the state of California in Republican hands, that is going to be similar to when Trump got into the federal government. And you see what's happening now. He has access to all the files. He has access to everything. Okay? That's why this is so important. I didn't really mention this at the beginning, but America has two super cities. We have 8 to 10 cities, in my opinion, that are really important. Of those 8 to 10, we have 2 super cities, New York and LA. It's not a requirement that New York and LA be thriving in order to have America thriving. Not at all. Back in the 80s, during the Reagan years, when America was booming, New York got up to 2,000 murders, I think, in the late 80s or early 90s. And then, of course, Giuliani lost his first race, won his second race, when, as the great Dan Bongino observes, it got bad enough. So America can thrive without it, but it's important for America to see those 2 big cities, and for outsiders, international travelers and visitors, to see our 2 biggest cities, not best, biggest cities, most high profile, as being thriving. To have them both in the hands of the leftists is not good. Okay? It's great, it's awesome that America has been designed so that we can leave our town or our county or our city or our state if we don't like what's going on. That's awesome. That's not true everywhere. So if things aren't going the way we like it in those places, we can move if we can afford to. Great. But it's not great that we've had to, or that so many people have had to or wanted to. That mayor, idiot that she is, I can't say that enough, in Seattle, she can laugh off these people leaving. It's not great for America. It is not. She doesn't have any money because they don't make any revenue. They take from the taxpayers. We've been over this with the billionaires tax in California. It is not great if people have to leave or want to leave or are driven out. And it's certainly not great when the big money leaves. But what's worse is when the middle class finally can't take it anymore. And even though they can't afford to leave, they leave anyways. And that's starting to happen. Little side note, because I love sports, I want to try to include as many communities here as possible. These blue states and these blue cities, we are going to start to hear about these being a real problem for both the professional sports teams, and the college teams. Because as they get so far left, people don't want to live there, not only because of the taxes, but because the quality of life isn't great. They won't like it. So when you think of USC needing to recruit players, Lincoln Riley, I think is going to have a harder and harder time, because if he offers a player $1 million and Georgia offers a player $1 million, the financial advisors are going to say, yeah, you can be in LA, but it's way better financially to be in Georgia. Okay, so leftism doesn't work for anybody. Good for Spencer Pratt. Bad that he got his house burned down. Bad that he got so fed up that he had to do it. I'm rooting for him. I want him to win. And I'm going to do whatever I can with our little show to try to help him do that, because this incorporates the entire fight of left versus right. And I used to live in LA. I was one of the people who chose to leave because it was no longer a place that you could raise a family, in my opinion. Not at all. By the way, I say this all the time. Black members of the citizenry in Los Angeles, if you're voting Democrat still, why? The Democrats have been in control of your communities and your city for decades. Your schools suck. Who's got a better school, Beverly Hills or your schools? Okay? Your schools are terrible. The Democrats have been in control. How many more generations of your kids do you want to sacrifice to these people? You need to stop voting for Democrats. This is a perfect time to do it. Spencer Pratt, go have a voice with him. Change the schools. Change the communities. If he fails, so what? Go back and vote Democrat. You can always do that next time. But if he succeeds, you've changed your communities forever. I would say the same thing to the Jewish Americans, and certainly to the Hispanic Americans. I've mentioned this before. The Hispanic American community, by the way, Trump won almost 50% of the Hispanic American vote nationally. But in the critical areas of the border communities in Texas, Arizona, and California, he won, I think almost all of the border communities in Texas, if not all of them, in 2024, and flipped these things, sometimes 20 plus, and even I think over 30 points from previous elections. What does that tell you? Before we get into that, Arizona, I think there's 3 border counties, and I think he took one of them, which he hadn't taken before, and I think he got closer in the other 2. And then California, I believe there's 2, and he took one of them. Why do I bring that up? Border communities are most affected by illegal immigration and have huge Hispanic populations. Why? Because they come over the border and then they just stop there and they live there. Or they have family who did that and that's where they go. So the Hispanic community is open. You saw that video yesterday. If you're a Hispanic person in Los Angeles, stop voting for Democrats. They hate you, by the way. Here's another big message for everybody about the Democrats. They hate you. Even if you're with them, you are nothing but a tool. They will throw you under the bus. They will toss you in the trash. They don't care. The cause is the only thing that matters for them. All right. Fired up Friday as always. Now, I do want to mention a couple of other things. We're going to move off of this, but Spencer Pratt, thumbs up. I'm rooting for you, brother. You're doing a great thing. I don't know that I can be helpful, but if I can, reach out. The Ordinary American at proton.me, or I'm on X, The Ord American. You can win this thing in June. I think there's a lot of people who are fed up and maybe in public are not going to say, yeah, I'm with Spencer Pratt. But I think when they go behind closed doors, if it's a legitimate election, so all those, I think you can win. My mind is racing. I'm not finishing thoughts. So all of those citizen journalists, if you're not already there, get out there. Okay? Overwhelm the system. Find all these people. I think James O'Keefe I think it was him. He had a X post the other day. He said, if you find yourself on a date with a 10 and you're a 5, she or he probably works for me. It was awesome. Very funny. All right. That's that. I'm watching the clock. I want to get to a couple of things here just to note because it's super important. And I'm going to pull this up if I can find it. Okay. Here it is. The Peter Navarro, the great. He's got a, let me see if I can put it up here. Okay. I just want to read this with you. He's writing an article about the American economy and how it's doing way better than people realize under Trump. For years, America lived off of debt, imports, asset inflation, and government spending. That was the Biden-Harris model. Borrow more, spend more, regulate more, import more, and call it prosperity. President Trump's model is different. Produce more, build more, invest more, manufacture more, bring supply chains home, reward capital formation, make America the best place in the world to build a factory, deploy machinery, train workers, and dominate technologies of the future. That is exactly what this GDP report, this is what this article is about the GDP report, because the GDP was what you might call underwhelming because it was 2%. Okay, but there was tons, and he goes into it in there. This, by the way, will be on the X thread. I'm bringing this up because we need to make sure that people see and hear and really understand what's really going on with the Trump plan. Exactly what Peter Navarro said in there. He is, and we've talked a lot about this when we bring up Promethean action. What he's been doing is he realized, wait a second, with our supply chain, why are we relying on our enemies? We got to bring that back here. Why did we hollow out our workforce by just deciding that the cheapest way we could get anything was the best way to go, and destroyed our manufacturing plants? A country is what they make. Trump is doing all that. Just today, I don't have it pulled up here. I wish I did. Just before I got on the show, I like to check his Truth Social account. He was saying that Europe isn't doing the right thing, and he's adding a 25% tax on autos and trucks, unless they build it in America where they get zero. This is the no more Mr. Nice Guy. He has driven many of them, we brought up Nissan before, many of them to build their plants here in America. What's going on with the Trump economy is huge. Now, some of it takes time. It is true. It takes time to build new plants, but it's not going to be the decades that everybody's saying it's going to be. It's coming on faster, and you're seeing that in that report. Another thing that's not being talked about enough, let me see if I can find it. That's not it. That is it. Is that the war in Iran, we've won it. That's already for sure. Now it's just a question of winding it down. By the way, no boots on the ground and not a forever war. It is highlighted the ultra importance of one choke point, the Strait of Hormuz, okay, which is causing problems for other countries. Now, it's not causing problems for us necessarily, even though when I just filled up my gas tank today, we were a shade under $4. That is massive, okay? But when it comes down, and it will, it's going to come down, I think, quickly and severely. That's a good thing. Why? Because drill, baby, drill, in the first term, we are producing so much oil and gas at the same time that the Strait of Hormuz, Iran, is putting a choke on the supply coming from the Middle East. So where's everybody going? It's been said that America is turning into the world's gas station. They're coming to us. This is proof positive. Reuters article from yesterday. 2 days ago. U.S. crude oil exports rose to 6.438 million barrels per day last week, the highest on record. Okay, the Straits of Hormuz, a key waterway that normally handles about a fifth of global oil and liquefied natural gas supplies amid the U.S. and Israel's ongoing war with Iran, has sharply reduced Middle Eastern oil exports and raised demand for U.S. barrels. Amen, brother. Okay, not great that oil and gas for us is at a high price. It will come down. But there's trade-offs to everything. To a conservative, there's no utopia. There's trade-offs to everything. We are producing more and more and exporting more and more. That's going to bring profits to the people who work in those industries. Trump just signed yesterday a approval, I believe, or an executive order opening up a new pipeline or starting a new pipeline. This is going to yield huge benefits. When that strait opens, it means that there's going to be this new flood, our oil and natural gas, plus theirs. It is likely to bring down prices sharply. UAE today is out of OPEC. Venezuela soon will be out of OPEC plus. And then you'll see others fall. Things are happening. The Trump agenda is working, so we want to promote that. All right, it's late, but it is Forgiveness Friday. Got to take it down. Jacked up. Why is forgiveness such a gift? Forgiveness is a gift because think about all the stuff we went over today. Think about all the corruption and all the people who are suffering from leftism, not only in America, but around the world. If I carry that around, I am so angry and so filled with resentment that it is going to destroy me. It's going to eat me from the inside. God gives me the gift of forgiveness. He forgives me for my sins, and I am a sinner. It is my obligation to forgive others their sins, both against me personally and others. That is a gift. It is not easy to make use of that gift because we have been trained, and society tries to tell us, be upset. The others, think about the left. This is their entire platform is built on resentments. Get the money from the billionaires. The white people suck. The men suck. The non-trans people suck. The straight people suck. It's all conflict. Sets you up, and they get your central nervous system way up. And then what happens? You can't think straight. Both gratitude and forgiveness. Those are the two tools. If we deploy gratitude and forgiveness, we can eliminate resentment. I often think that the great antidote to leftism is Trump, true, but is information. I am, as a 58-year-old, now coming to realize that that's not true. While that can help, and we need that, the great antidote to leftism is forgiveness and gratitude. Because with forgiveness and gratitude, the left can't jack me up, and then I have a chance to think straight. Then I have a chance to separate the great Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning. He talks about stimulus response, that there's a space in the middle, and that's where our humanity lives. A feeling comes up, I can't control that, but I can control my response. It's that moment in the middle. That's where forgiveness, that's where gratitude can fill in. Forgiveness Friday. I'm practicing it today. I hope you'll practice it. And maybe even more important, I'm hoping somebody's practicing it for you, because I'm a sinner. I am sure I need forgiveness. I certainly need forgiveness from God, and I know He forgives me. And if He forgives me, then I'm forgivable. All right. That's the show today. We went a little long today. We will be back on Monday at 2 p.m. Please like, subscribe, follow, comment, email us, send this around. We are trying to participate in the fight between the left and the right, and we need all hands on deck. Everybody, obviously. Our two super cities need help. Forgiveness Friday. We'll probably do another weekend video. If you have any ideas or topics you want us to jump into and do a short 15 or 20-minute deep dive, let us know over email, theordinaryamerican@proton.me, theordinaryamerican@proton.me, or theordamerican on X. We want you to have a great weekend. Be safe. Practice forgiveness. I'm rooting for you.